Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines and, most importantly, provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And I say that every day. And what do I mean by that? I mean that I only speak to transportation professionals on this show, as well as my twice-a-week long-form podcast, because I want to speak to the right individuals who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve, so you can take all that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. It's one of the many, many reasons why I proudly fly this American flag behind me every single day. A, we're the greatest nation on earth, but B, I'm living my American dream, and I want to help each and every one of you live yours as well. All right, we got a solo show today. Got freight moving today. Sorry if I was a couple of seconds late there on going live. You guys got a bunch of stuff going on, which is a good thing, right? I'm not complaining, but we're trying to get a bunch of different moving parts here up and running. We're going to make it happen, you guys. But let me see here. Corey, what is up? Corey Buchan, happy Monday to you. You will be, Corey, I'm going to be sending that hat out here this week to you, man. And Tracy St. Clair, good morning, watching over on YouTube. Thank you for tuning in, Tracy. Sydney Thiessen, good morning and happy Monday. Thanks for tuning in, Sydney. Flo, what is up? I hope you had a great weekend as well. Yeah, a lot of stuff going on right now, you guys. And, you know, it kind of ties into some of the articles that we're going to be breaking down here today about, you know, the market and everything else, because at the end of the day, that's all everybody seemingly wants to talk about is what's going on in the market, when's it going to recover, this and that and everything under the sun. It seems like that's going to be the burning topic, as well as, oh, this company is doing this, or this company unfortunately went under, and everything else. And, you know, frankly, at the end of the day, you guys, you know, and I saw a post out here this morning. His name was Chris. I forget his last name, but it was speaking truth, right? Like, no matter what, you got to find solutions. And, you know, that's kind of where I'm at right now in my brokerage, right? Like we're, I don't want to say busting at the seams, but we're having more opportunities come about than ever before right now, you know? And I think that no matter where you are in your business, your book of business, you have to keep reaching out, right? You have to keep providing value. You have to keep executing. It's easy to fall into that trap of, you know, especially when you see it all the time about the market being what it is I'm just not going to do my job. Like, why would anybody want to hear from me? The market's down, or this is slow. I get it. I have those exact same thoughts, but you know, from my perspective is I have to keep showing up every single day because freight's still moving, right? And I think that's always the biggest misconception out there when the market slows down is, oh, there's no freight. There's a lot of freight. There's a lot of freight still moving. And if there's freight still moving, there are opportunities out there for you, you know? I get just as beat down as every single one of you who are listening to the show with all the rejection, right? I'm not immune to it. I'm a human being, all right? I get affected by it, especially when you get told no, 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 time and time again. But the reality is, you know, and I've started thinking about this recently because I heard this on a podcast that I was listening to, is essentially when you're reaching out to them, you're kind of the sum of their last 10 interactions that they've gotten with brokers or trucking companies. And you're really kind of lumped into all of that stuff, right? And whether their experiences were positive or negative, you're going to feel that, you know, and it's not you personally. Okay. And I always want you guys to all remember that it's not you personally. There wasn't a, hey, Chris Jolly's going to call me today. I'm just going to hang up on him and tell him how much he sucks at doing his job. At least I don't think that way, right? I mean, possibly. That could possibly be the thing. But from my perspective, you guys, freight's still moving. There's going to be opportunities out there, but this stuff is really hard, right? Like a lot of the results that you get. And again, Andy Frisella talks about this a lot on his podcast, the Real AF podcast. I would highly recommend checking it out. His episode that he dropped this morning was probably the one last Friday, and the one today were probably my favorite two episodes in quite some time. They're all good, but these ones like really spoke to me personally. And again, he talks about this a lot is you're legitimately, today's results are the sum of your efforts over like the last 90 days, or he says it in some iteration of that. And it's true, right? Like we've been on an all out sales barrage here over the last probably 6 months, right? And then today and this week, it's all starting to materialize, right? Like a lot of opportunities are starting to present themselves this week, but that's because we put in all of that effort leading up to this, right? And then today, you know what? First thing I did though is I still made my outreaches to all of my prospects because it's a constant journey of this. Like you're never good in sales, right? Like and at least from my perspective, you're never good in business or you're never good in sales. You're either growing or you're dying. And that's the way that I view a lot of these things. So again, I'm coming in, I'm making my outreaches, I'm updating my customers because we had 3 deliveries that happened this morning, early morning deliveries. So bam, had to take care of that. Had to make sure all my outreaches are done. We're in the process of covering like 9 shipments picking up tomorrow as well. And, a couple of them today. So we're in the process of doing all of that. Right. And again, it's just like I follow my structure in these moments more than anything. And, again, I'm not saying that, but like, I'm trying to slow down here a little bit because I kind of feel like I'm jumping all over. I follow my routine religiously, especially now that I don't have any trips scheduled for the foreseeable future. And the only way I'll jump on an airplane in the foreseeable future is if it's a customer, a shipper who's like, I need you to come on site. I'll do that. But for the time being, I'm locked. I am locked in. And I'm going to do the exact same thing every day because I truly feel like every action that I put out there is directly tied to the success of my business. I go back to my health. For those of you who follow me on other platforms, I do the exact same thing every single day. And it starts with, following my routine, getting in there, going to the gym, eating the right things, consuming the right content, all of that stuff. Because I've tied all of that to the success of my business. And it all comes into where you're at right now, right? I do the exact same stuff every single day. My outreaches, everything. Because I know eventually it's all going to compile, right? Because and then we're going to hire people and then we're going to grow from that perspective as well. And, to kind of tie it all in, the current market for me, you guys, is irrelevant. I don't subscribe to an up market, a down market. I don't subscribe to any of that garbage. I subscribe to the fact that I'm going to show up and put in the work literally every single day without hesitation, especially now that I'm like in my zone in the fact that I'm back home and I don't have any trips scheduled. Because again, you guys, like I got a couple of things going on as you know, and I get pulled in different directions at time, but I follow my routine no matter what. But it's like really, really super dialed now that I'm not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. And, no matter what the market is, no matter what's going on out there, you got to show up, you guys, because there is freight moving. There are opportunities out there. And at the end of the day, you can only control what you can control. And that's where I'm at. I can only control my organization. I can control my results and my effort. And that's it. And that's all I'm focused on, no matter what. And I would just highly recommend that. So if you don't have a routine of any sort, start there. That's where I would always start, is build that out. I've used this example in the past. When I first started my business in my bedroom, I had a little whiteboard and I had 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. every 30-minute increment listed out on there. And when I first started, it only had at 7 a.m. post daily video, at 2 p.m. record content for next day. That was the only stuff that was on my schedule. But what I filled up my day with was imperative at that time. I was filling up content. I was filling up my days with other things to keep me occupied. And that doesn't mean that I wasn't going through the mental battle of all of this stuff, because I go through that still to this day. Still to this day, the mental battle is the hardest part of all of this stuff for me. But my routine is what keeps me in the battle. It keeps me in the hunt, and it keeps me locked in. And that's where I'm going to be here for the foreseeable futures. I'm going to be absolutely locked in. Everything I do will be dedicated towards growing my company, no matter what. So, all right, that was my little Monday morning rant or fire or whatever the heck you want to call it out there. Nick Sanders, yeah, man, beat down. I feel it. I feel you there. Zena, good morning to you. Happy new week to everyone. She says, Steven, what is up? Papa Freight in the house. He says, good morning, coach. Time for the real news. Amen. Amen to that. I owe you a headshot, Steven. I'll get you that here today. Sonny Sharma, orange shirt gang in the house, the OG member of the orange shirt gang. All right, you guys, let's get down to some articles here. There's a lot of stuff that's going on in the news, but we're going to start with fleetowner.com. Pick your poison, truckers. Flat VMT fee, efficiency-based or weight-based. If there was a theme or discussion around highway funding and how to get EVs to pay their fair share, the ATA's Highway Policy Committee heard the obvious. Trucks are not passenger vehicles, and policy must reflect and respect the differences. But the committee meeting during that recent ATA conference also heard that it's easier said than done. Let me see here. A mileage-based user fee, for better or for worse, is among the gas tax alternatives being debated in the various state legislators. As Patricia Hendren, executive director of Eastern Transportation Coalition, explained, we noticed all this discussion and work about a distance-based fee was being done for passenger vehicles. Where were the trucks? Where was the motor carrier industry? The organization understands the complexity of the trucking industry, and so fleet's viewpoints must be part of any national discussion around road user fees, and the time for trucking to be heard is now. As Hendren illustrated in her presentation, the increase in numbers, let me see here, the increase in the number of states exploring mileage-based user fees or weight distance taxes, and in a few instances enacting them between 2016 and 2023 is pretty remarkable. State legislators are paying attention, she said, and that's where we need to get worried. If legislation is passed without information or passed with bad programs, all create more administrative burdens. I don't know, maybe let's do with less taxes. I'm just going to start there. Less taxes, less fees, because it's insane. We get, like legitimately, if you break everything down, we're all getting taxed at like 60%, 70%, maybe even 65% of our overall income. Because not only do most places have state taxes, federal taxes, we also have sales taxes. We're paying fuel tax. We're paying highway use tax. We're paying taxes on literally everything. Like maybe we should look at it as less taxes. Maybe we should curb some of our spending. Let's just start there, because at some point, which I feel like all of us, I feel overtaxed. I don't know about any of you guys. Taxation is straight theft. All right. Let's call it for what it is, because that's exactly what this is. It is absolutely insane that we're having more and more taxes. Let me see. Frank McCabe. Yeah, dude. That's also another biggest talking point that nobody wants to talk about. Taxes, Frank says, taxes make zero difference if we fail to address the increased burden on the electrical grid. The electrical grid in its current form can't even sustain our current power usage. And then on top of that, if we're talking about electric vehicles, what are electric power plants powered off of? Coal, right? What's coal done? There's a direct correlation to diesel as well at that point. So again, do your own research on all of that stuff. Like I said, I'm all about alternative solutions and innovations. I'm just not about the government telling me I can only drive this said vehicle. Anyways, back to the article. The surge in EV adoption has diminished federal contributions from the struggling highway trust fund. She cited the distance tax that took effect in Connecticut this year could be considered in Indiana. The fact that we have two new pieces of legislation is a wake-up call that the weight-based tax is coming back. The point is coming back to the motor carrier industry. So how do you get prepared to push back? Call your local representatives. Just throwing that out there. Let me see here. I'm just kind of skipping ahead because this is, let me see here. We get together and we close the doors and say, okay, what are we going to do if the state passes a distance-based fee? How do we prepare? How do we ask for something that's different, she said, and then how do we push back on things we don't want? How do we design our work to try and question and to get our questions answered? ETC has undertaken a national pilot program. And then she said it's pretty easy to show just the impact of this industry, and it's different. It's not rocket science. Trucks are not big cars. We have existing regulations that we can piggyback for on a national system if we need to go in this direction, and we have the technology in our vehicles. And then we're just highlighting some of those things. This is a good article. I truly feel that. This is from fleetowner.com, and it's pick your poison truckers, flat VMT fee, efficiency based or weight based. My vote is call your local officials and tell them enough with the taxes, enough with this. But again, you need to get involved on this stuff, right? If you're a business owner, if you're a member of the ATA or the TCA, we need to find out what is being done about this to protect everybody out there. OIDA, throw in all of your industry organizations, because again, like enough is enough with all the taxes. Like that's my biggest thing. We don't need it to be anymore. We're already overtaxed from this perspective. And I mean, it's just insane to me. It's absolutely insane. But again, this is what happens, you guys. Like elections have consequences. So that article, fleetowner.com. As always, you guys, I'll put the links to the brokers, excuse me. I'll put the links to the articles up on the Freight Coach YouTube channel, as well as the Coffee with the Freight Coach audio only replay, which will be available on iTunes and Spotify almost immediately after the show. Let me see here. Next article, JOC.com. This one came out on October 20th, but I was out on the road, so I missed a bunch of these good ones. This is from the JOC. My man Bill Cassidy wrote this. Carrier and broker failures solidifying truckload spot pricing floor. Carla Isted, good morning to you. The depressed U.S. truckload market is a long way from a turnaround, but trucking executives and analysts believe shipper concerns about subpar service and carrier failures will prevent spot prices from falling further in 23 and early 24. David Jackson, president of Knight Swift, said the largest U.S. truckload provider sees signs of pricing sensitivity emerging among shippers as more carriers exit the business and carriers and third-party freight brokers offering low rates underperform. The market is beginning to show signs of sensitivity when supply leaves suddenly or as a provider cannot perform with freight lanes that were awarded by offering the cheapest price. Shippers that lose those carriers or brokers or fire them for underperformance are accepting higher rates to move their freight, although rates that are high enough to spark a significant rebound in the spot market, average spot market pricing, excuse me. We are absolutely seeing this in our business, said Andy Dyer. He's the president of managed transportation at AFS Logistics. We've seen several cases where customers did a bid earlier this year and 9 months later, it can't be serviced because the rates were not sustainable. Similar disruption hit in the LTL market in August and September when they tried to transfer the yellow prices out there, and the carriers said no. But there's still enough excess capacity in the truckload sector, to broadly dampen or impact the sensitivity described by Jackson Dyer and others. And we are not seeing enough supply leave or enough strength in volumes to move rates out there. The TD Cowen AFS Logistics Truckload Rate Per Mile Index Monday was up 4.4% from January of 2018. The JOC weighted average drive-in spot rate paid by shippers reached $227 per mile in September, up 4 cents from May, but down 38 cents from September of 2022. Let me see here. All of this data that they get is based on 4,000 lanes of 250 miles or more supplied by DAT, Cargo Chief, Load Smart, and Shipper and Broker surveys. Another great way is to hit up my friends over at Green Screens, who I literally use. They're up there, you guys. Greenscreens.ai/the freight coach. Hit them up, you guys. I literally use them every single day. And all the freight that I'm winning and moving right now is based off of prices inside of Green Screens. So that is what keeps you up to date on all of this stuff that we're discussing in this article. Back to that article. 2024, David Jackson said that they're looking for more significant pricing gains. It does appear the stage has been set for positive rate pressure in the next bid season, which would begin in early of 2024. If bid season began today, we'd have a tough time seeing it be positive. I'm just going to speak from my perspective out there. Eric Ransom, good morning to you. At least what I'm seeing out there, I've had customers who've completed bids here over the last couple of months. The spot market's very, very busy right now in those customers, and you can tell it is the prices have increased out there, right? Because otherwise the loads wouldn't be declined. If they could still move them, they'd be accepting the loads. So again, I think and this is just very indicative of how people bid freight, right? They bid RFPs. They just go in and bid the lowest, right? Here's the crazy thing that nobody talks about. I've been on a lot of RFP calls in my career. I've bid a lot of RFPs. Contrary to what I say when I've only moved 3 truckloads in my career, I've been on a lot of these calls. Never once have I heard, bid the lowest, you'll win all of our business. I've never heard that ever in my career. But that doesn't stop people from going in and bidding lower than everybody else to try and swallow up volume. Because here's generally how this stuff works, you guys. When we're in the market that we're in right now, here's how people operate. They bid rock bottom prices on their shit, right? Because some of these large companies just need to show revenue, okay? Their stock price, that's how a lot of this stuff is done. Dirty little secret. But and not everybody. There are also smaller companies out there that aren't publicly traded that they'll go in and they just bid rock bottom to get volume. And their whole thing is we'll just bid it, we'll move it if we can, and we'll decline it if we can't. That's their strategy. But that's just not the way that the real world works. Is because eventually, the more you decline freight, the worse off you're going to be. Hate to break it to you, because you'll get kicked out of network. There are metrics that are followed out there, right? So the sooner that you get into the fact that you need to price freight where it can actually move, so these drivers can make a sustainable living, then you're going to get more and more business from that. I know it's a shocking concept out there, but it's the truth, you guys. You have to bid this freight. And again, this isn't saying go in there and bid $9 a mile. We all know that stuff's not sustainable, but we know where the market is. All right. We know where people need to make money at, right? It's not let's drive down these rates, because again, I'm not going to go into this whole there's too much capacity out there, because I would always tell anybody, if you're looking to start a business, start a business. All right. Because if you want it bad enough, you will figure it out. You will find a way to make it work out there. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying that it's fair, right? But at the end of the day, if you want to make it work, you're going to make it work. But the fact of the matter is you need to be smart about how you're bidding on this freight. I only bid on the lanes that I know that I can move. I only submit bids that I know I can move that freight at. Plain and simple. Again, I'm not out here to drive stuff into the ground and to put people out of business, because frankly, that's what a lot of these rates that you see out there. Because again, I'm actually moving freight, you guys. I'm booking freight every single day. I see what people post on the load boards, and it's appalling. All right. Because I know that those guys didn't bid that rate to the shipper. There's no way. There's no way that they bid that rate. And if they did, it's only a matter of time before your boy gets on the phone with your shipper and takes all your business away, because they're probably sick and tired of the service failures. Anyways, they did say, to kind of get in there, failures and rumors of more failures are increasing week by week. David Jackson had said. Brokers are also exiting the market as well. And Jackson said that extreme aggressiveness by some brokers has reached a level, where it's not only sustainable, but it blows up. He's very, very right with that. there's less freight and they're moving it for less. Dyer said, compound that with high debt to equity ratios, and you'll see the death spiral begin. They also goes on to say, to finish up the article, what we're seeing is extreme resourcefulness on part of the small carriers. Shout out to the small carriers still fighting to make it work. Your boy here in the orange shirt is cheering for you guys. I want to see you guys win. Let me see. You have individuals in 1 or 2 truck operations that might be temporarily living out of a truck just to get through the bottom. And then we're puzzled as to why we haven't seen more capacity come out, Jackson said. I'm cheering for you guys. All right. For those of you who are bootstrapping everything, who are maxing out credit cards, who have lines of credit with the bank, you're trying to make that work. I'm right there with you. All right. And I'm cheering for you guys. I am cheering for all of you guys who are in the exact same position that I am, that literally has everything on the line to make my dream work. That's the main reason why I go live every single weekday. I go put out these podcasts. I do this content because I want to speak to individuals who have been through these hard times, because these hard times are not here forever, right? We're going to make it through this stuff. All right. And I want to continue to highlight the individuals who have been in these markets. Like, again, I've been in this industry for 15, 16 years, right? I've been a broker for 12 of those years. Okay. I've seen tough markets before. I've seen this stuff go on, and we have to, and again, we have to collectively work together in this stuff. All right. We truly do. And that's what I'm committed to. Again, I can only control my operation. I can only control my output from my company. But you know what? At the end of the day, I'm going to keep fighting. I'm going to do whatever it takes to make it through this stuff, because I'm making this stuff happen every single day with you guys. All right. So if it's tough for you out there, it's just as equally tough for me. But I'm not going to quit. Like I had talked about at the beginning of the show, like this week, I'm just now feel like I'm starting to see my efforts of the last 6 months come to fruition in freight opportunities. So no matter what, you're closer to it recovering than not. And that's what you need to focus on, right? Like, I got stuff going on too, just like every single one of you. Jerome, I feel you, man. It's tough for me too, bro. But at the end of the day, we're going to make it through. All right. We're going to keep doing this stuff. I'm going to keep bringing on individuals out here, and we're going to keep making it happen. All right. Because that's what we do on this show, you guys. We're here to help everybody. Bill McIntyre, I appreciate you too, my man. Thank you for tuning in all the time. Micah Campo, heavy haul owner operator here. Let's go, Micah. Let's go. Where are you at, Micah? Where do you run? I may or may not have some freight for you. May or may not. But we're not going to get to the third article today, you guys, because again, hit this article up though. thejoc.com, carrier broker failures solidifying U.S. truckload spot pricing floor. Hit that one up, read that one. There's a ton of value in it. I didn't get to all of it in there because we are coming up on time. I'm not going to get to the third article today. But frankly, it's because I got to get back into it and I got some freight moving. So we will make it happen. But as always, you guys, if you guys got value in what you heard, subscribe to the show, you guys. Share it out there to your network. Because at the end of the day, that's how we're going to grow. That's how we're going to make things happen, is because if you see value, your network's going to see value as well. Micah Campo, my friends over at PDQ America in West Texas, East Texas, excuse me, they have some freight as well. If you DM me your email address, I'll make an introduction with them as well. If you're in the need for some freight out of Texas. But that's going to be it for today, you guys. We'll be back tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central. As always, I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.